Again, trying this again. It seems every time I try to record for you guys, something comes up. So, quick update for everyone, as I've been asked. Um, I had a case in across. So I posted the quick short to let everyone know that the murderer of Naomi Jael was tried on Tuesday, May 21st, or the court proceedings are starting. I may not say tried, but essentially, the what I got from that case was that the accused person, his family and friends, loved ones, etc., showed up in numbers. And from what I can see, what I got the text message the next day was that there was not enough diasporans to outnumber his support group. And so that really breaks my heart because we are talking about someone that was murdered, and he had more support in the courtroom than the sister that was murdered. Let that sink in. So this is why I constantly bang on and on and on and talk about how group economics is not just about money. It's about how we need to show up for one another. There's this old saying that it's only a fool who jubilates when his neighbor's house burns down. So a lot of times we have this ID mindset because we are saying, "Oh, well, it's not me," and we get into these comfortable little spaces. And I do get why we have these comfortable spaces, because in Ghana especially, it seems like the more you associate with people, the more trouble you run into. So I do get that. However, at the same time, this is a situation where we need to show up in numbers and show that we need to be taken more seriously. And so I remember growing up, many a times I heard the saying that you can judge how people feel about a culture or community by how the women are treated. And let that sink in again. You can judge a culture or community of people by how the women are treated. And so it's it's been really, for me, it's been a number of issues that I felt like, as a lady, as a woman, there's been so many negative things said about the sister that she's dead. May she rest in peace. And a lot of it was hurtful, and it wasn't even me. That's the thing. It's like I just can't believe the stuff people are saying. But that aside, I still think that the sister deserves to have people show up to support her loss. Like, we're in an area, we're living in a time that like, we always have mattered, but it's just whatever. I'm preaching to the choir. So what I got from I believe Yanet, she was saying that the next court date is June 11th. So I'll post it again, that June 11th, Cape Coast District Court 1 will be the next day that the proceedings will be heard. So June 11th, Cape Coast District Court 1, 9 a.m. Um, yeah, sorry, I had to make notes because the other videos, don't ask. Um, One of the things I wanted to say to people, like, I talk a lot about different things on this channel, and one of them is business. And again, thank everyone for joining me on this journey. It has been rough. But one of the things that I didn't like, and I felt a little frustrated with, was how my entire clip was essentially downloaded, or I don't even know how it's called, I'm gonna lie. But whatever it was, they essentially took my whole image, my whole clip, posted it on their site, and siphoned away over 30,000 views from my page. And the thing is, it already had gone viral by that point. So it's not like, but I'm saying it was my face, my image, my content, and without permission, you just sucked it in for yourself and siphoned away 30,000 views. Disrespectful. I don't think the person maybe meant any disrespect by it, but it still was disrespectful. This is an issue where we talk about intellectual property, sharing. Yeah, we can share, but at the same point, like I said, I appreciate the people that shared the video, because that was the point of us sharing, getting the message out, getting the word out. But for you to essentially steal the person's content and redirect them to your page, there's a difference. So that aside, one of the things that did alert me was about, I don't know, it was more than 3 people had messaged me and was like, "Are you okay? Are you alive?" They thought I was the person that was murdered because of the content. And so I apologize to people who might have been worried and warned. That's why I said, let me post the video again, like continue to post you guys, so let you know that I'm okay. But yeah, I thought that was actually quite irresponsible. Um, One of the things that has been continuing is me going to court, of course, with these cases, this whole us against them narrative. Everything is us against them. And then I was just watching a video, and this is a side rant, but I'm coming back. But a side part about the issues going on in Chicago and some of the other major cities with the illegal immigrant or migration process. And they are saying right now that over 45 million illegal immigrants in the U.S. And I was like, good God. And so Chicago is facing a huge issue because for years, a lot of people see this is the frustration that most diasporans are experiencing because unless someone comes to America, they will never see what's really happening. And so a lot of diasporans are feeling some type of way when we come from war-torn cities like Chicago, Detroit, New York, Oakland, Los Angeles. We don't want to be at war. That's our challenge. Is that, and then the resources are now being allocated and continue. But see, I even told me and my buddies, he's from Oakland too, and he's living out here in Ghana, and we were talking about. I was like, but you got to remember how Oakland changed too. And even when he started to think about it, he's like, yeah, because remember, Fruitvale District, East 14th, all of that area changed fast. And the sad part is a lot of those people I had met throughout the years, they never had social security numbers. They didn't have high FICO scores and all those things. So how were they getting credit cards? How were they buying how were they buying homes and cars without the quote unquote standard requirements that we were supposed to have as diasporans, as Americans living there? We weren't getting the same support. But people will never know that. They'll tell you when you come to America that to stay away from those black Americans because those black Americans are lazy. No, those black Americans were the hardest working people. Like I said, when I was growing up, most of us had 2 jobs minimum. And so to see all of this changing, and that's why like people don't get it. Like those of us that have tried, we've come to Africa, we've come to different parts of the world trying to escape the hell and the war that has gone on for us in those countries, and we have not been welcomed with open arms. Like I said, I follow this guy named Nomad Capitalist, and he always talks about go where you're treated best, and we're just not treated well anywhere. That's the messed up part, is diasporans, because we have such a negative rap around the world. And the strangest thing is the things that they say about us is a stereotype. It doesn't mean it's true. But fade out, fade in. I was watching that, and everybody makes it like diasporans in Chicago against the Venezuelans or against the illegal immigrants. And it's really against the system, how we have poured in blood and sweat and teared in that country. However, we can't get the resources that other people are coming. Like they were literally giving vouchers. Like I guess they said it was $9,000, and they're giving housing, they're giving food, they're giving all of these things that the diasporan community have never been able to get access to. We can't get access to loans. I mean, many people are living in tents, like literally in tents, and can't get services. But fade out, fade in. You bring in illegal immigrants and they get access to all the stuff that you've been asking for decades. That's messed up. So shout out to my brothers and sisters in the struggle. I know it's not easy. And sometimes I've been having a cycle, so I get a little more emotional. And when I say I feel my sisters and brothers' pain, it really does pain some of us. Like, we need to support and encourage one another. And sometimes my brothers and sisters just need to let off something, like to let it out, because this shit is so hard. It is so hard for us. And like I said, I really feel something for my sisters and brothers out there who are struggling, trying to make ends meet. And ends won't meet just because of, people just like playing God and getting in the way. Like I said, shout out to the brothers and sisters in Chicago, but Oakland has undergone some of the same things. And that's not to say that I'm saying that to minimize struggle. Not at all, because that's not me. Your pain is just as significant. So that's not me minimizing anything. It's just a trip to see all of these things happen and how they continue to happen in different areas. And it's like, we're not doing anything about it. How can we do anything about it? Let's have a talk about it. Let's have a diatribe. I had made a note about the other in the video about part of the reason to push back. So one of the thoughts I had talked to people about cost of living in Ghana and how where I live I'm paying way more in rent and I know that I am, and how I get harassed to keep adding more here. It's like add this, give me that, give me. And as long as you're giving, as long as people are demanding that you pay something, even though it's not your responsibility, they're happy and they're smiling and they're probably laughing to the bank. But the moment you push back, see, that's the issue, because it might start off with a small, teeny, tiny piece of something, and then once you pay that, they'll be like, oh, okay, you pay that, okay, well, we're gonna push a little more, we're gonna add a little more to the pot, and then next thing you know, what they're asking for is so large because you didn't push back. And so that's one of the frustrating things about being here, because like I said, being from these war-torn areas, many of us want to come and just live out in peace, and they don't allow peace. Everything turns into a fight. And so every offense is going to get greater. So let me tell you about being here. If you want to come here and you have the stomach to stay here, just know that you have to nip, as we would say, nip it in the bud. You can't let it keep going. Sorry, my back. I said you can't let it just keep going, because every time the offense will just keep getting greater and greater, and the next thing you know, it's huge. And it's just, I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, because I really think Ghana has such great potential, just like a lot of places. But the problems of corruption and the mindset, it just makes it so cumbersome and difficult to stay here, because if you're coming from a place where there is some justice, where there is some respect, etc., you're going to find it incredibly difficult to live here. You're going to find it incredibly difficult. So yes, and I also made a note, sorry, going back to the religious, or being religious versus a moral compass. People talk so much about religion and they fail to practice the teachings. So one of the things, like again, me and my brother was talking about earlier today about the nation, and how when Elijah Muhammad was alive, even after, how when you look at how they had the fish, the fish imports, they had the trucks, they were, the Black Muslim bakery, you had all these different things. Even when brothers and sisters was getting out of jail, they had housing, they had jobs. These are things like I always tell people, let's not get caught up in all these names and getting, religion, but let's look at the fruit that it bared, right? So let's look at the fruit. You had a place where you could get spiritual rejuvenation, let's call it that. Some get spiritually fed. You had housing. You had food. I mean, like, look at that. In those days, when the nation was in its prime, you had certain things in place where brothers could get housing, could get food, even sisters. So now, fast forward, we have, let's just call other organizations or other individuals. Where's your fruit? Do you have a place for people to live? Do you have a place for people to be spiritually fed? Do you have a place for them to get food, a way for them to take care of themselves? This is something we have to, going back to the group economics talk, this is so important to the Black community. FBAs, we all keep talking about it, but I mean, I'm like, where do we find this movement? Where do we move this from, what do we call it, neutral or out of park? How do we get out of park? Because we've been in the state of park for a long time when you look at it from a driving perspective. And so, brothers and sisters, like I said, I love respectable dialogue. All of you riffraffs that was coming onto my page with all that disrespectful talk, I've tried to delete as many as your retarded comments and stuff like that. You go back over, like I said, that's the kiddie pool. This is the deep ocean. This is for people who are more mature, more seasoned. I'm all for suggestions. I swear, I'm all for suggestions. My brain is maybe overloaded, but I've tried so many different things growing up, being exposed to all of this positive, Pan-African, whatever we want to talk, but then we're still stuck. I mean, I actually think we went backwards. So what do you think? What do you think are some ways for us to move forward? Like I said, the sister was murdered. She had, the murderer had more more support at the courthouse than she did. Even when I go to the courts, I don't get any support. But it's like I said, it's interesting, and I'll get off of this and I'm done for the soapbox. I find it really interesting that since I've been here, how many people's projects I've supported. Fundraisers after fundraisers after fundraisers and other things that I've gone to. How many people's projects have I supported? Whether I came in and sang, came in and did something, anything, supported for free. And here I am doing everything alone. It's not because I don't ask, but just let that sink in. So, yeah, let's have a dialogue. Again, respectable. Talk to you soon.